listening to SuperPower Mommas on the SuperPower Up podcast, the show that embraces the art of soulful parenting.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Laura Greco, and you're listening to SuperPower Mommas. And I am so excited to be here with you today because we are talking about a really cool topic. So what is intuitive in the mind-body connection? There's a lot of talk about mind-body connection. There's a lot of talk about being intuitive. How does this connect? That's what Alissa Okrent is going to share with us. She's a dear friend of mine, and she is a vitality coach and an energy management coach, really helping people to transform their lives from the inside out. When I think of my friend Alissa, I think of the mind-body connection all the time because she really knows how to tap into the intuitive part of ourselves and create peace within. In fact, her mantra is trust, explore, and transform. So welcome, Alissa. I'm so excited you are here.
I am so excited to be here, Laura. This is really fun. I know, because we talk on a regular basis, and I consider you equally, not just a professional, both professional and personal, right? We have a combination relationship, which always opens my heart, brings a smile and joy to me. And so it's a thrill for me to be here as well.
Yes. Well, I'm excited for our audience too, mamas out there, because you are a mama.
Yes, I am.
And if you would like to expand a little bit more on what you do, I love what you bring to an audience of moms. So you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. So let me give a little bit of a background in terms of my momship. I am a mother. Our children are now 29 and 32. We have our daughter Eva is 29. Our son is 32. And so I've had, this journey with being a mom before some of these tools that we currently talk about were readily accessible. And most of these I've been using my entire life with my kids as well. Breath, connection to body. And then I'm also principal at what's called Temple Shalom Religious School, and I have 70 students. But to me, these are all my kids. So I'm a mom in the sense of I have my own family, and I'm also have a mom type role in many of the professional arenas in which I do what I do. Right. So those are kind of two hats.
Yeah, I love that. And it is true, isn't it? When you are looking after these young people in school, it's a community effort to raise children, and you step right up and contribute to that. And that's wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tell me, Alissa, tell us what your superpower is, your super mama power.
Wow. That's such a fun question. And I've got to say, if I was asked even 6 months ago or certainly several years ago, I would have shied away from this. I'm like, I don't have a superpower. But I believe that one of my greatest strengths is the ability to have compassion for a younger person. And I see it in their body, right? I recognize the power of me physically calming down and then helping that person in front of me, regardless of age, but children in particular, give them tools so that they too can calm down. And one of the girls that I've worked with more intimately has a number of different I don't want to use the word issue, but I would say that the energy within her is more of a roller coaster, and there's excitement and there's, diversion of attention. And so when I am with her and I look eye to eye and just start to breathe in my body and give her some guidance, at the moment we were using hand mudra, to use breath with the body and then watch this beautiful person come to a much calmer space for themselves and then be able to express what she wanted to, I would say that that's pretty powerful. And that I am very comfortable reading into what someone's energetically, that's why I call it energy from the inside out, because I'm looking at this vibration. It's not a look, it's a feel. I feel it in my body. And I know from, it started with myself, but the science behind it is when our mind is racing, then we are not thinking in a calm collective. And
Correct.
Whether it's methodical, logical, or just being able to receive information from our deeper self, when the body is agitated, it's much harder to get to that information. So my tools are what will bring the body into a different state, so that anybody can hear what's happening. Like what is the message that the body's trying to share?
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And in today's world, honestly, there's so much stimuli out there now, and right. And moms are finding it as a challenge for themselves, let alone for their children. And we see a lot of diagnoses out there for overactivity, in the children, the inability for focus, and not to say anything about the diagnosis, but this is a challenge for moms when they view it as something of detriment, rather than just something that, okay, well, let's learn to work around or through this and create a practice that can assist, right? Because stress shuts us down, doesn't it? It just shuts us down.
Absolutely. Not only does it stretch up and down, it's also inappropriate, in my opinion, to point fingers out, like as if there's something wrong either with that child or with the situation. Like, it happens to be what it is. And if we are not willing to be in aware first and then acceptance of, okay, this is the circumstance, what are some things I might not be looking at? And I come to things and I'll see things from a different perspective. So that's likely the other half of the intuitive superpower, right? Is that my joy is to see something from a new perspective. And I have no difficulty asking children specifically to take their technology and put it on the other side of the room. Like, be separated from the technology. I think that we do a disservice to our children, students, all ages, 0 to teenagers. And yes, they have a device, which I know there's some wonderful things that occur with that device, but you have to remember there's energy in that device, and it's a vibrational, it operates with vibration as well. And that is going to stimulate the physical body. So the closer it is to the body, there's going to be the sense of stimulation, in addition to the psychological, I want to say addiction, which is a strong term, I recognize, to having the tool, right? If you are not able to put the phone down or not check messages, or, oh my God, that's indication that there's too much of it. And so many kids have that. They don't, like when I grew up, you left school left you behind. Right? You had home. And I know that that's not the world today. Children don't have what you and I call sacred space, quiet space, or sanctuary space, without it being created by someone or some things.
Yeah. And so you've really touched on what my next question would be. So I just want to highlight that.
Okay.
Because we're talking on the topic of what is intuitive in the mind-body connection. And you're talking about your superpower being compassion and being able to look at a situation and really assist a child or a person to breathe into that situation and create some space for tuning in, basically.
Yep.
And So that's really the how, you're right? Like you just know how to command the situation. Before we go for break, I just want to slip this in. Like, what kind of tools do you use? I heard you mention mantras. Go ahead and just share those other things, and then we'll go for a break, and we're going to go deep dive into this a little more.
Great. So the key, there are two main tools. One is breathing, belly breath.
Yes.
Using hand movements with breath. And the other is gentle body movement, and the combination of the two. Those are the most powerful tools, in my opinion. And then the mantras, which are ways of helping our mind focus on a particular thought or desired, I don't want to say outcome, because that might happen. And we are told, the more you say a mantra, then it does. But I don't know that that's really true as a standalone. It's a combination of things. So we can talk about mantras on the other side of the break, but definitely breath and body posture are two key, very important, simple tools that anybody can tap into. And intuitive is that's the way really it's done. So
beautiful. So what is intuitive in the mind-body connection? We're speaking today with Alissa Okrent. And where can people find you before we go?
So you can, my website is alissaokrent.com, ALISSAOKRENT.com. And my email is alissa@alissaokrent.com.
Okay, Alissa, I don't say your last name very often. Okrent.
Yeah,
but anyway, thank you so much. So everyone stay tuned, because we are going to deep dive into some of these tools that Alissa uses to assist in helping us to understand what is intuitive about the mind-body connection. So we'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. This is Tonya Don Rekla, Executive Director of SuperPower Experts, and we want to thank each of you for making SuperPower Up the #1 podcast network for personal development and spiritual growth. Because people like you have the courage to say that mindfulness, healthy living, disrupting reality, the pursuit of consciousness, responsible entrepreneurship, and radical parenting matter, we now amass over 1 million downloads monthly in more than 90 countries. Our numbers keep growing because there are far more people willing to live divergently than mass media wants to acknowledge. For you, the change makers, the light bearers, the way showers, we say thank you. If you're ready to take the next step in your evolution, go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower quiz. And as Neva Lee Rekla, our youngest podcaster, likes to remind us, remember, we all have superpowers and we can change the world.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to SuperPower Mommas, and we're on the other side of the break and listening to a discussion with Alissa Okrent. And we are talking about, I got it. What is intuitive about the mind-body connection? So a lot of information out there in the world, and yet you are actually in the mainly in the trenches, right?
Yes.
Working with people and really assisting children and parents and others who work in the corporate world to find more peace in their lives, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, absolutely.
And therefore more ability for productive days, more energy,
yes.
Right?
Yep.
Right. And these are, they're sustainable because the body's going to function better, whatever. Right.
Absolutely.
So yeah. With all that in mind, this is a good reason to continue to listen. Of course, as Alissa mentioned, she is a mom of two of her children are now grown, but she also is the principal in the school that she is employed by. And so she works with children on a regular basis. So let's speak to the moms a minute here.
Okay.
When we think about moms, they're busy. They're busy being, maybe they're working from home. Maybe they're just running a household. That's already one job all by itself. And all the activities that go along with having children and so forth. how important, and because they want to do such a great job, I want to ask you, how important or not do you see maintaining a semblance of autonomy is to a mom?
Oh, I think it's critical. And how we define autonomy obviously can be very personal, but I'll give you my definition. Autonomy, to at least a piece of it, is the ability and comfort to guide ourselves in the way we want to guide ourselves. What do we want to be doing? Are we participating in life in that way, right? In that autonomous way, meaning I'm not listening to somebody else's behavior patterns, and when they say you're doing blah, 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 I want to block that out and reframe that. And so I hope that answered your question.
Yes. And so where I want to go with this is you're basically talking about tapping in and hearing your own voice and your own divine guidance. Mm-hmm. And so it's not that the autonomy comes in that you are not taking on others.
Correct.
All right. So how does that, and how does that tie in? So that's where your tools come in, right? This is how you assist people in being able to do that. So we're talking about the intuitive in this portion, and I would love for you to show how that connects with the body, mind and body, like how that all comes together.
Okay, so let me give a practical example for you and for the other listeners. Mm-hmm. And just for a moment, take a minute and close your eyes, assuming you're not driving, but you're in a place where you could do this, and scan your body. What is your physical body posture? What is the relationship of your hips to your head, your shoulders, your spine? What is rounded? What is not rounded, without making any changes. And most people kind of sit a little slumped over, especially if you're on the computer, talking on the phone. And most activities that we do, whether it's driving or changing diapers, we're in a very forward folded body position, right? Our shoulders are rounded. So one, that makes it more difficult to breathe. And also our energy is a little more deflated because we're leaning downward towards the ground. So even if your body isn't in that position, how about we all try this? Put your body in that position. Round your spine, let your head fall forward, and let your shoulders really come forward. Then as you inhale, breathe into your tailbone. So literally push the air down to the tailbone, allow the spine to lengthen. Bring the shoulders up to the ears, draw them down around your back. Feel your collarbones expand from the front of the body so that the heart center opens a little bit right now. Taking a deep breath in, breathe into the belly and out through the nose. We're going to do it 2 more times, and I'm going to give you a count. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Lengthen, exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Do that one more time. Inhale. Feel your ribs expand. Feel the belly expand. And now as you exhale, press the air out. 4, 3, 2, 1. So Laura, I'm assuming you've done this. So would you mind sharing how you physically feel at this moment?
Alert and at peace in my body. Like I feel like I can feel all the cells in my arms and my legs. My feet are relaxed. My back is straight, which feels awesome. When you had us first slump over and then, reach up, I felt restricted as I was curled forward. Mm-hmm. And as I lifted my back up and, got straighter, I could feel that I could actually breathe better, So the whole, you can see when we're running through a day, like you're describing, we tend to get slumped over and it's cutting us off from the energy that we could be taking in, isn't it?
And it's in addition to cutting us off from, external energy, as we feel restricted, then our mind, our thinking becomes restricted, our reaction time towards other individuals is not always at its highest level, meaning can snap. Maybe we're hungry. We don't even recognize it. So there's a hangry tone. There's like, most of the time, if one were to just step back and try and witness, what's going on here at this instant, you would be able to get the answer of feeling I'm receptive or not, open or deflated, right? Energized or drained. And that split second is enough to just say, well, just draw my shoulders back, right? I mean, there are many other things, but in the simplest of ways to adjust attitude and be able to hear the intuition that our body is speaking to us, we need to align the body in a manner that's comfortable for the body. That doesn't mean stick straight spine. It means simply paying attention to what your skeletal structure is. And that does mean, maybe it's just stretching your arms up and opening wide, taking a deep breath in, folding forward into more of a ragdoll and rolling back up and standing. And that is a great tool. We call it brain breaks in the work that I do. I mean, it gives us a moment away from what we've been involved in, shifts our energy, and we can typically come back with a new, a slightly different attitude. And the tools, and you and I have spoken in the past, yes, they're very simple. But when I think of, is this easy? I mean, it means being conscious that you have a very high level of participation in everything that you do. So, for example, if the phone is ringing, and now with caller ID, we can see, you have a choice, right? I don't have to pick that phone up. It's not an emergency unless the person on the other end, and you know that for a fact it is, right? But that's typically rare. It happens. But for the most part, we can make choices like that, right? Complete the task we're doing or the conversation we're having, and then pick up and return and call or whatever it might be. But I think most people walk around not comfortable with recognizing that, in fact, they have the opportunity to make the attitude adjustment, right? That connection with self and universe, with self and body, starts with you respecting self. And that does come, it comes obviously in a myriad of forms. But for the work that I do, I always start with the breath and the body. And sure, that comes from my background in fitness and yoga and nidras and, mindful coaching. Sure.
Yeah. And I,
you had the experience. I mean, I when I'm in the public arena and I'm sharing this information, the first thing I want to invite in my audience is to have a physical experience like the one you just had, and that it's proved in their body, right? All I did was give you some directions, a few words, and there was an opportunity for a shift. So that's just to say the person is capable of doing it. Right?
Absolutely. And what it feels like to do it. And the reward is how I felt by the end of the exercise. And for those listeners who are able to do that, I'm sure you noticed it too. Now, I love this for moms because they are the ones that are running a lot of the show for the day, right?
Yes.
I also love it for them because there's also the child that has a need or something's happening or maybe they're not listening or whatever's going on, right? There's things happening. And I love the insight that a mom can achieve through this kind of practice as she observes the child. Right. Because she can see. So go ahead and comment on that. I'd love to.
Well, I think it's important also to state, not to oversimplify this, right? It's called a practice.
Right.
Because becoming more comfortable and proficient means one is doing this on a regular basis, and you start out with this not in the moment of need, but rather when it's not necessary, right? So just being on the car line, waiting for a child at school pickup. Breathe. Check in with your body. Nothing else is causing distraction. It takes 30 seconds, if that long. So, and then you can, become more formal. I mean, I always encourage people, start with a minute, 2 minutes, see how that feels. Then you spread it, you can make it to 5 minutes. And 5 minutes done every single day, that means it's over an hour a week. You're building the time, right? It's like the body now recognizes, oh, we're doing this thing, and this thing feels really good. And so it will get to the feel-good place more efficiently each time you do it, which is why meditation, when one continues with that practice, that's why all of the we'll call the mind-body practices, yoga, meditation, Pilates to a certain degree. Others might disagree with me on the Pilates thing, that's fine. But runners, like anyone who's in a physical experience, oxygenating their body, will recognize at the end of the experience that they feel more open, they feel more receptive, right? And it's because they choose to continue to make it a practice. And sometimes in the midst of it, it's not particularly comfortable, right? But you don't say to your child, well, you fell down, stay down. If they're learning to walk, what do? We encourage our kids. We encourage them to crawl. We encourage them to try new things. I mean, so if moms can think about how enthusiastic you are for your own children to experience these new possibilities for themselves, because it will expand them as a human being, the same applies to moms, right? And so we tend to forget as moms, and that's part of that autonomy. We really tend to forget, wow, I can be doing this small thing. We're so good at picking up really huge lifestyle changes. Those are nice, and those can be attained, but it will always start with the smallest step. No one wakes up running a marathon. When I trained for my marathon, I literally trained for 10 months, and then I ran the marathon. And I still was in a lot of pain. But I completed it, right? It wasn't, there was a mind, a concept, a goal. It was a much more goal, that's a goal-oriented outcome. But I believe that wellness and setting intention and feeling our intuition are equally, they can be considered, quote unquote, goal-oriented. It's just recognizing what is the nudge of your body. How do you, everybody has it. No one is more intuitive than another. It's just, who's tapping into what that skill means for them?
Okay.
And so,
I like that point, because that's actually where I was thinking. Because you touched on, okay, so you've now established a mind-body connection, right? Because, and through the breath, and through the body scan, that's created that kind of thing. And then it intuitively says, am I hungry? Am I tired? Do I need, am I thirsty?
right.
You can begin to tap in what's really going on. Why am I in distress at this moment? And then also, having fun, making a game of it with the children. Okay, let's do the breath, and let's see if you figure out what's going on. That's a great tool to assist children, especially children who have a hyperactive tendency or a tendency to stress easily, right?
And also, if a mom's energy is, I don't want to say that we're calm all the time, but if the adult energy is off, especially with children 5, 6, and under, the children are resonating with the energy of the adults around them or the children around them. So if you are having, as an adult, an anxious moment and you have a young child, it would not be surprising that they might stop listening, or they might start running around, or they, become what one might call distracted.
Mm-hmm.
They're feeling your energy, and children don't know how to describe what's going on.
No, nor do they know how to ask. Yeah.
No, they don't. That's what I'm saying. It's really an unknown. And even when we tell children, well, you feel this way, it means this, or it feels like that, they're still kids, right? Like,
right.
Even through adulthood. I mean, and I certainly know adults that behave like children. They have not gone beyond 6 or 12.
Mm-hmm. So what I love about this tool, though, that you gave is that now the parent can say, oh, mom's having a moment. Mommy needs to breathe, and maybe you could do it with me, and we can, then figure out what we need to do next, rather than getting into a match with the child, say, whoops, mommy's, that stop, even if it's in the middle of something, that stop teaches a child to not turn to substance or other thing. It teaches a child that you're going to go within.
And it teaches the child that they, as they get older, can recognize those very same symptoms, and they will be more able to stop and do something for themselves when mom or dad are not around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the idea of it, right? And I feel children are able to understand far more than we give credit to, but on their own terms, right? Explaining on a child's level why one is upset, right? So can I share a small anecdote?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're coming to the end of our time. Can you believe it?
All right, so this will be quick.
Yes, okay. I would love for you to do this. This is what we talked about. Yeah.
Okay. So when my son was, he's 32, I'm going to say he was maybe 3 or 4. Like, he was young. And I would believe I was pregnant with Eva. So he had to have been at least 3.5. And we were in the bathroom. And at that time it was a 5-foot square bathroom. His knees are on the toilet. He's leaning on the sink, and we're in the bathroom, and I probably was like putting makeup on or something. And he says to me, Mommy, why are you annoyed with me? I looked at him like, this is brilliant. And I looked at him, I said, I am not annoyed with you. I am annoyed with me. And because he caught me, he was accurate. He nailed it. He said it in the most non-judgmental way. And it got me thinking, oh my gosh, you've picked up on the energy, and it's my job to own it. Right. And I didn't hide, oh, I'm not feeling this way, blah, 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 blah. And we just went from there. And then in fact, that energy dissipated because it was A, became aware, and B, acknowledged, I accepted. Wow. So it went pretty quickly. So does that mean it takes maturity? It takes compassion to be, all of these things, humility. I mean,
vulnerability.
It's all about the human experience. There isn't, a best or better. The faster we can get, the faster I think moms can get out of judgment of themselves, the first of all, more fun you'll have, and the parenting skills will increase. Right? I mean, hugely. I mean, it took me years, but that's why I do what I do. I mean, we have to go back. So I hope I answered that question, but I'm hoping that anecdote, that story resonates with moms, because your children are likely telling you things on a daily basis that you may not be aware of because your body is speaking to them. And so it's a great way to connect. And then, of course, I gave my son a wonderful hug and kiss, and, thanked him greatly for being a teacher. So,
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that, because that really brings in some important points. And I'm sure our listeners are keenly aware of these kinds of moments that happen and how to handle them gracefully and in love for self as well as our child. Is all we need. We just need tools, and because we're going to do things, and
We're
it's
gonna do
okay.
things. Yes.
But that's how we learn.
But I want to give moms another tool, and this is specifically for them, right? Because that may sound like that's too easy.
Is this the mantra we were going to share? Perfect.
Well, both. One is before the mantra. So before the mantra comes out, I certainly have been known to yell, scream, slam cabinet doors. Everyone knew not to talk to me at that moment. Mm-hmm. What I want to share with moms is when you feel that intense energy rise, frustration, anger, whatever it may be inside, and it's going to happen. We're human. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yelling, punching a pillowcase, stomping, expressive push-ups, anything that you can do that's explosive and physical with your air and breath for a few minutes will honestly help. A good hard cry. I mean, all of these things are also tools because it's about transferring that rough energy into something that you can emotionally and mentally now manage. What do I do now? How do I manage what's happening in front of me? And so with that expression out, the mantra that I've shared with Laura, that I do say on a regular basis is, I am collaborating with the universe in joy, service, and gratitude. So the important part of a mantra is that it's present tense. I am. It could be I am becoming or I am. So there's an I am statement, and then there's a piece of, well, what is the thing? And then another, can be another phrase. So mantras they're very short, and also they need to be yours. So that one evolved came from different language outcome. My goal was I wanted to be, my signature is joy-filled. So joy and connected is a very important element for me on a daily basis. I believe very much in a power greater than myself, and that I am not that I'm a puppet, but that there are thousands of awarenesses during the course of a day. That's my job, to be aware and to be open and receptive. And so over a period of time, that is the mantra that came forward for me. It started when I was doing a meditation of yoga nidra, and then when I was walking. So it's evolved. My point is that the mantras or the phrases that are going to work for any one individual are going to be the ones you'll know it when you land it. So just keep trying, keep at it, find a phrase, a couple phrases, and then eventually it will, as long as you stick with it, it will be something that you go, oh, this is the one for me at this time in my life, right? Because they can change.
Absolutely. They can change and start with something and then move it along to what really is, or maybe it's just a different chapter in your life, where things have to transform and you've grown and learned and become curious in new ways. So I think that's like the most important thing, is that we're open to learn and to change and to create new situations where it's time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that you got to share with us these beautiful tools and insights.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here and talking with us on the topic of what is intuitive in the mind-body connection.
Thank you.
So Alissa, please, one more time, let people know where they can find you.
Absolutely. So my website is Alissa Okrent. You can just Google, you'll see Alissa Okrent. And my email is Alissa, ALISSA, at Alissa Okrent, ALISSAOKRENT.com.
Beautiful.
And I have a newsletter. It's free. It's just information, mostly a quote, and then that comes out on the new moon and the full moon. So that's, for someone to learn more about me, or just to capture some information that might be meaningful for them. Please feel free to join my mailing list.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I get those emails. Thank you, Alissa, very much. And I want to thank all you listeners for joining us today and taking in some of this juicy information. And I'm sure that you'll find bits and pieces of it very useful in your own life. And so, mamas, I just want to encourage you to continue to love yourself for the person that you are. You are a treasure to your children and to really the whole world in general.
Absolutely.
Because you are raising the children that are coming up in the world, and caring for yourselves is like being an athlete. You care for yourself so you can do what you're here to do, and part of that is whatever gifts you bring to the world, and also what you're doing with your children. So we love you. We know you've got this. So carry on, and until next time, love yourselves and your family. Bye-bye, everybody.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower Quiz today.